What's up? I'm kicking off the weekend for you guys, so hell yeah, let's do the thing. Let's do the thing. Sorry, because San Diego is usually sunnier than this, but come back if you guys don't live here. Me and Zach have always been advocates for that. But what's up, guys? I'm excited to serve you guys. Take notes today. I have a lot of good stuff coming for you guys. Ask questions. One thing you'll know about me, or you guys will know after this presentation, I'm really good at staring. So I will have a staring contest with you guys. If I ask you to participate and no one jumps in, you guys are leaders here, right? That's how we lead. We jump in, we make impact. So I have a really cool presentation for you guys today. Let's jump in. Also, I'm technologically challenged, so the fact that I was able to do this on my phone, guys, let me just tell you. So what's up, guys? So what I do is I teach people how to scale their business. I help them scale out teams. My wonderful partner back there, Caroline, she is a genius. She's my director of operations. She'll be speaking to you guys later with Megan as well. But that's what we do. We scale businesses. I'll give you guys a little bit of a rundown on who I am, but the more important thing is what you guys are going to take away from today. So this is me. What's up? You guys can call me Coach Ken. Most people don't know my real name. It's Kendall Strample. It's because I was fierce to fit for about 5.5 years. Started my fitness business when I was 18, dropped out of college, was kind of crazy, moved across the country, did the thing. I started my fitness coaching business back then. We've served over 3,500 women. We have about 250 clients currently on the team, 7 coaches, so pretty big, and we still run it to this day. Now I run the Wealthy Women's Business Academy. Some of you guys might have known us as Elevate Coaching Academy before we just transitioned, but we help scale coaches up to 6, multiple 6 and 7 figures. And we don't just do fitness coaching now too, we also are working with people from all different industries, which is really cool. So I wanted to ask you guys this as well, because I think this is something that's really important. Where are you guys from? Are you guys from like all over the country? Who thinks they traveled like the furthest away? Okay. Where are you from?
Toronto.
Toronto? Oh, sick. Okay, sick. So why are you here? What brought you here?
Well, I just know there's more in store for me, and like I don't got no people like this like from where I'm from, and like just having people who are like-minded and like can help me step into that version that like I know is in there.
Hell yeah.
And just like level the fuck up and just
fuck yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. Who else has a big reason they're here? Come on, y'all. There's a reason you guys are all here. Impact.
Okay.
Jump in.
I've probably said this like a dozen times, but like for me, it's like I've seen someone else who's done it makes me feel like, well, why can't I do it too? So like seeing people like yourself or like other coaches who are here, and I'm like, wow, I can become that if I have the tools and the skills and the knowledge.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. I think it's the big thing that you guys can say here is it's the impact of the community aspect, right? Yes. Which, let me tell you guys, like, I'm just going to toot Zach's horn for like 2 seconds. This man is incredible at building community. You guys have one of the best mentors, especially as just a fitness business coach. He is incredible. So important to each other. Like, the biggest thing is with these weekends, I always like to disclose this for you guys, is like, you can come here, you can get pumped up, you can get amped up, but like, what the fuck are you going to do when you go home, right? Implement, hold each other accountable. That's the most important piece. Because at the end of the day, you guys are all here for a very specific reason, and we can be honest with ourselves, right? We can be honest with ourselves. We want to make money. Like, we want to make money, we want to make an impact. And the biggest thing is when we make money, what happens? We have freedom, right? And I'm going to share a story with you guys today of how I completely broke out of having any kind of freedom in my own business, and how I want you guys to avoid having that happen to any of you guys, okay? So I'm going to be teaching you guys specifically how to break out of the solopreneur trap. So are any of you guys scaling right now? Like, you have coaches, or you guys are making hires, okay? Who's in like their first like 1 to 10 client range? Okay, cool. 10 to 20. Okay, like 20 plus. Okay, cool. We have a really good variety of you guys. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna explain to you guys a little bit about the solopreneur trap. And Zach will do a phenomenal job of keeping you guys out of this, but also like we have to think what happens up here. But more importantly, if you guys don't know what my forte is, it's systems. I absolutely love systems, I love processes, and I'm gonna teach you guys what you need in order to break free of this trap here. So some of you guys can probably already relate to this, but you feel like you're maybe digging yourself in a hole, right? And the reason is because what happens when you start getting clients on board, you also have to take sales calls, but then you also have to do content, right? So there's a lot of moving pieces. And so what tends to happen is you guys get stuck in fulfillment, right? So this is more of like the client delivery side of things. So there's 3 aspects to business I'll teach you guys about today. You get stuck in sales, right? So you're doing your sales calls. And then you also have marketing. So this is going to be things like content creation, basically like the advertising side of business, right? You guys putting yourselves out there. Oops. And so, like I said earlier, this is kind of what happens. We end up kind of running like a chicken with our head cut off, right? Because you're doing all the things at once. And so what I want to do today is I want to be preventative for those of you guys who are at those first like 1 to 10 clients or so. And then for those of you who are maybe 10 to 20, 20 plus, I want to just teach you guys something you can implement into your business to prevent you guys from getting stuck in this trap, okay? Because I'm going to take you guys back to 2018, 2019. So this is crazy, but I had 100 clients on my roster and I had no team. Keep in mind, fitness businesses were not as big back then. I didn't have as much competition. I know. You guys are like, how the heck did you do that? I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I was doing all my sales calls. I was doing my content. My content fell off. So some of you guys might know this cycle, okay? 1 week you have like a shit ton of sales calls. It's all fine and dandy. And then the next week you didn't post content the week that you had sales calls. So then the next week you don't have any, right? And it's this constant loop going back and forth, back and forth. And it's frustrating because you're like, okay, I finally have my roster getting full, but then clients fall off because fulfillment's not there. You have to almost like pick and choose, right? What you guys are pouring into. That's frustrating. It's super frustrating. If any of you guys have ever been there, maybe that's why you reached out to Zach, right? For those of you who haven't started the scaling process or getting up to those 10 to 20 clients, I'm going to help you guys again be preventative of this today, okay? So this was me. I was 19 years old. I basically got my roster up. I know, crazy. It was a lot of work, I will tell you guys that, but this is what I did. I dropped it all. I literally dropped it all. I went to Israel. I went to Switzerland. I went to Italy. And I just traveled. And I was like, forget this. I don't want to do any of this shit. I'm so burnt out. And I completely lost sight. I completely lost sight of my vision. Oops, back here. And this is me. I traveled the world. And I will tell you guys, I do not regret this phase of my life in any way, shape, or form. Like, it was so much fun. I met incredible people. It was super awesome. But the minute I touched back down in the US after traveling, I recognized, okay, there's something missing here. Like, there has to be something missing here. I don't want to just give everything up, right? Like, it's all la-di-da to go travel and do whatever you want for a few months, but then you have to come back to reality, right? And so at the time, what was really happening is I was just escaping. I was running away, and honestly, the biggest thing for me, which I'm sure some of you guys face this on a daily basis, it was just a massive lack of self-belief. I didn't think I was capable of scaling out a team. I was 19, right? Like, some of you guys might not resonate with that piece of being super young, but either way, like, I did not believe in myself. And I didn't see anyone else really doing it at the time either. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to pave the way to do this, right? But another thing too is, I don't know if you guys have ever felt this, there's those days where it's just really hard. And you're like, you know, maybe I'm good with 20 clients on my roster. Like, maybe I don't need to hire. Maybe I don't need to implement systems, right? And cool, like cool. I will say for some people, that is the fact. Like, you love your life, you like are with your person, whatever, and you have like 30 client roster, you're bringing in 10 to 20K months, and you are happy as a clam. Like, do that thing, do it, right? But for those of you who know that you had a big vision at some point, because this was me, I was like, I'm gonna build an empire, I'm gonna have all these incredible things, but I took it away from myself, right? And so don't let yourself be cool with it, right? Don't let yourself be cool with it, especially if you've already spent time envisioning it, because you know what you're capable of, okay? Whoops. So this is why most people get stuck in the solopreneur trap. It's typically because they just lack a lot of clarity in their vision. And this is something we've even been talking about a bunch the past 2 weeks, is if I asked you right now, what's your vision, would you be able to describe it? Could you clearly say it, right? Most people can't. And something else that's really important to think about is that your vision is fluid, meaning that it's changing. So it's not gonna be the same forever, right? Guys, if you were to ask me if I would be I never thought I'd be at a retreat speaking to you guys, never, like never. Back when I was 18, 19, I recovered from an eating disorder. Like, all I wanted to do was go help women have a better relationship with food. And that was it, right? Which is still awesome. Not that was it, but it was still awesome. But it wasn't what I thought I'd be doing today, right? And so when you lack clarity in your vision, you're gonna lack clarity in your messaging. So if you guys are like stuck up on ideal client, you don't know how to produce content, maybe you're like going to make a hire, you don't know how to do it, it's probably because you just don't know what your vision is, okay? And when you lack these things, what happens is you can't fulfill and you can't retain, which Megan and Caroline will be giving an awesome, awesome talk on, okay? And an even bigger problem with this is that it always just becomes about the next lead, the next sales call, right? How am I getting my DMs out this week? Where am I starting conversations? All super important, all super important. But if you're just focused on the next sales call, the next dollar in your bank account, it's not gonna get you very far for very long, okay? So by the end of this today, guys, my main intention, I just want you guys to feel more confident, right? Confident with closing, confident with content creation, and also being able to serve and retain your clients, because I'll tell you guys, the reason we've been able to scale up our team the way that we have is from client retention. We're not constantly having to feed that loop of, oh my gosh, we have this many people falling off this week, so we have more people who we have to bring in, right? We're able to fill, we're able to serve and able to retain. And the even better part, which I'm not gonna go into too much detail with, but this is the thing I'm the most passionate about, is team building. Because once you have all of this, you can outsource the shit out of your business, which is really, really fun to do. So let's talk about the 3 elements of business really quickly. I'm gonna give you guys like a quick little business lesson. So you have marketing here. Marketing is basically what we talked about earlier. It's the advertising part, the content, you guys getting all the, maybe emails out, whatever it is that you guys are doing. Zach is wonderful at teaching you guys lead generation, right? You have sales. We all know what sales are. We all know what sales are, right? So selling, don't forget, this does not just start on the call, okay? This starts in your content. And you have fulfillment. This is you guys serving and delivering to your clients. Now, marketing and sales, I really want you guys to pay attention to this, okay? Really, take some notes on this. This is like a huge business lesson for you guys. I didn't understand this until after I went through this whole dilemma I had in 2019. Marketing and sales fall under the umbrella of what's called client acquisition, acquiring clients, okay? Fulfillment is how you serve your clients. If you do not have clarity on your messaging, right, you guys are gonna have a really hard time bringing in ideal clients. When you don't have ideal clients in your program, you can't fulfill. And you can't create a system to fulfill, right? I'm sick of coaches saying, I don't have compliant clients, so they're non-ideal. They're giving you their money, right? They're hard-earned cash. They're giving you their money. They're asking for your help. Don't blame them for being not compliant. It's your job to fulfill. It's your job to fulfill, right? I hear this so much in our coaching space, is that people are saying, oh, that client's not compliant, they're not ideal. They came to you for behavior change, right? Get clear on your messaging, and then build something for fulfillment that creates a structure and system that gives them hope, it gives them certainty, so they actually want to stay inside of your program. These go back and forth, okay? You have to master these 3 things. You have to master them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teach you guys one thing that when I came home from traveling, I recognized, okay, I need systems, I need processes, and I need to scale out a team. And in order to scale a team, I need systems and processes. You don't have to have your whole shebang together, trust me. Caroline and I will tell you we are the first to take messy action. We do it and then we figure it out. And it's worked really well. It's worked really well up until this point. But we do our hard work and we do our due diligence and we invest in mentorship, right? But there's one thing that helps you hone in on marketing, sales, and fulfillment. That's actually really simple. It's really easy. And I want you guys to walk away today being able to implement this. So this is gonna be something that's very implementable, very easy for you guys. And it's also fluid, again, so it will grow with you guys over time. So you can take it with you. And that is building a unique mechanism. So a unique mechanism, think about it as like a method, or think about it as something that you guys have a structure for that just helps your clients with going from what's called a struggling avatar to a future-paced hero. I want somebody in here, some of you guys can raise your hand, call it out. Just explain to me, like, who were you? What kind of struggles did you have? What pain points did you have before you signed up for PTBI? Lily, go for it.
I just felt like I wasn't qualified enough. Like I was like, there's so many more people out there that know so much more than me. I could not like live up to it.
Right. And how do you feel now?
Not that way.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
I have something to provide for like the people that follow me who trust me and wouldn't trust anyone else.
How many clients did you have when you started PTBI versus now?
Oh, I didn't even have an online coaching
There you go. And how many clients do you have now? Hell yeah, there you go. Heck yeah. So Lily just basically explained the struggling avatar to future paced hero. You're going to keep growing, so your future paced hero is still in the works. But a struggling avatar essentially is that person who has those pain points when they first come into your business, okay, when they first come into your program. So a lot of people equate this to the person who's not confident. They're looking to do X, Y, Z to grow. But here's the big thing I want you guys to think about, and this is something one of my mentors taught me as of recent, is it's okay if it's image focused. In fact, please make it image focused. Like, we all know people want to gain confidence, but what is the thing that's bringing them there? We know that confidence helps people lose weight, right? But your struggling avatar doesn't understand that. They don't care about confidence. They care to lose body fat because they think, if you think about it, when people are struggling, usually what they say is, oh, when I lose 10 pounds, then I'll be happy. So speak to that. Don't speak to the happiness, speak to that, right? You can speak to both, but just don't leave out this piece. It's really important, okay? So this is basically going to be the thing that helps you guys create a customer success journey. And so when you have this method, this is what it does across the board for your business. It helps you pretty much guarantee results to your clients. And so when you can guarantee results to your clients, what happens? They're going to sign up. Your marketing is going to be way better. Content production is going to be easy, right? Sales calls, you're going to walk in confidently. You won't have that imposter syndrome because you're like, oh, this is my process and this is how I get you from A to B. This is how I get you to lose 10 pounds. This is what it looks like. Here's the journey, right? And you're going to show up way more powerfully and advocate for your business. Advocate for your business. Please write that down, guys. Like, do your calls to action, advocate for your business. Pipe it up to your hairdresser, your barber, anybody. Like, I talked about this on a mastermind call the other day. Like, be the Kris Jenner to the Kardashians to your business. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Just do that because we need to do more of that as coaches, right? So, what's your journey? This is where it starts. Where's your journey? we all do the same thing here. Like, we all do the same thing. We're all scaling fitness businesses. But what makes you different? It's your personal story. Like, let's be real. We all pretty much have the same client journey. Increase metabolic rate, do the reverse diet, do the cutting phase. Like, most of us coach that way. Some of us are maybe more extreme weight loss, maybe we work with moms, whatever, it's a little bit different. But in your niche, the methodology is pretty much the same. Like, we can all agree on that, right? It's pretty much the same. And so what you guys need to do is you need to tie in your own personal story to make people actually be attracted to you, okay? And this means that you guys need to tie in the pain points you had when you were the struggling avatar. If your ideal client is past you, just think about that, okay? Think about that. What were the struggles you had? I'm not gonna teach you guys about ideal client. Zach does plenty of that with you guys. I don't need to go into that. Most of y'all, in fact, probably even know if you have some people in. Keep in mind your ideal client is also fluid. It will also evolve over time. Sometimes you'll completely pivot and change. That also happens to some people too, right? So I wanna give you guys an example. FTF, that's my fitness business, Fierce to Fit. I have two wonderful coaches who run it with me. This is our struggling avatar. I'm gonna explain it to you guys because you might have no idea what the hell super conscious means. So our struggling avatar is a woman who wants to lose body fat. Does she need to? Most of the time, honestly, really not. But she thinks she does, and she thinks she needs to eat less, and she's terrified of giving up control. Her ego is super huge. She has no idea her ego is huge, but that's the thing with her. She's downregulated her metabolic rate, and now she can't lose body fat or she can't make the progress that she wants. And for me personally, I know that behavior change is 99% for her. Like, we could give her protocols all day, but doesn't mean she's gonna follow them, right? In fact, she doesn't even want really to give up control of her protocols. She's used to having a tight grip on everything that she does. But when she leaves our program, she's super conscious, meaning that she can step into her higher self. She can make decisions for herself. She understands mindset. She understands ego. She loves the body she's in no matter where she's at, right? But she also usually does tone up, tone up. We all know that word. I use that word because guess what? That's all she cares about. That's all she cares about. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, I can't wait for you to be a super conscious. She's gonna be like, the fuck is a super conscious? No, she's not gonna understand any of that, right? And so that's why I speak to my struggling avatar. I don't speak to my future paced hero, but I know who she is. And I can paint the vision for her as well, okay? So let me let you in. this is our unique mechanism. I'm also going to go over some of our clients that we have in our program too, because theirs are even cooler than mine, if I'm being honest. But this is our program. It's the Mindset and Metabolic Makeover program. We wanted to tie in mindset, but still keep that kind of metabolism, weight loss, fat loss factor in there. Okay. And I wanted to give you a fitness business example because I felt like that was going to be the easiest for you guys to receive too. Phase 1, we have 4 phases. If you guys build this, right, one thing I'm going to say just to disclaim, you don't need to drop everything you do after this weekend and go build a unique mechanism. Take direction from Zach, from Jen, Jada. Take direction from your coaches. If they tell you, hey, let's implement this after we figure out your ideal client. Let's implement this after, if that's the case and you guys want to do it, awesome. You don't even have to implement this. But what I want to tell you guys is more so through learning this, how can you create a success journey? At least you understand it, even if you don't reiterate it to your clients, right? But these are our 4 phases. So we do mindset and metabolic priming, which this is essentially where we do a lot of the mindset work. We get their body to a place that can be responsive, right? We have built to burn, we have fat loss, and we have lifestyle integration. Now what's really cool about this is in my sales process, which I know Zach teaches you guys how to create, personally for me, just giving you guys some ideas, for me, in my sales process, I talk about these because it's not like a, hey, you can come sign up with us for 3 months. No, you have to go through metabolic priming for 3 months. So like you're gonna be with us for at least a year, right? So it makes it easier to sell people in and then retain them as well, okay? And more importantly, it evokes one emotion that I don't think I see enough in the coaching space, and it's hope. People just want hope. Like they want hope that they can make progress. Most of these people, they don't believe in themselves. Like most of the time, they just don't believe in themselves. And so when you guys give people structure, what happens? They have clarity, they see a path, and that's when they can start to work towards it. And also when you have structure, you believe in the process a little bit more too. Because if you're just like, hey, we're gonna get you from here to here, and I'm super excited, they get on the sales call with you, they're like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to do this, and they get off and they're like, wait, how am I gonna get there? I have no idea, and now I'm terrified, and like they'll sometimes refund, cancel, whatever it might be, right? So show them the process, show them the structure, make them believe in themselves, and give them hope. Okay. So I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of a wind down on how to do this. If it's something that you guys want to eventually implement, cool. This could be pretty basic. I'm actually going to give you an example before I do this. We have a client, her name is Courtney. She's awesome. She's like very like brand savvy, better than I, to be honest. She's super cool. And she helps ex-athletes. So that's her niche, that's her demographic, who she works with is post-college ex-athletes. And her business is called Rise. And she's like really about like circadian rhythm. She loves like the sun. She's very like, she's awesome. She's super cool. And she basically created her pillars as dusk, dawn, like sundown. It was or sun up. It's like, it's really, really cool, like the way that she did her pillars. And so you can see how that's very like on brand. It's very like her, it's very something that she loves to do. She's into like meditation. She's into a lot of mindset work. So it really really fits her, okay? And this is why it's important to get to know yourself a little bit better in business. And one of the things we do at WWBA is we focus on self-mastery before we focus on anything else. And the reason is because when you get to know yourself, right, when you get to know yourself, you also get to understand how you can make your business different than everyone else sitting in the same room as you that's doing the same thing. Right? And so you have to identify your dream story. And if you guys don't know what this is, essentially, I want you to think of what was the lowest low point for you. Like, think like vivid. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, I was like, I was 10 pounds up. I just like wasn't feeling good. No, like my brother walked into the room and I was doing fucking push-ups to try and burn calories on like a Wednesday, and he legit started bawling. Like that's my low point, right? Like what's the lowest of the low? Think of what that is, okay? And your dream story is gonna be like, what was that pivotal moment for you? What was that first action step that you took? Okay, what did you do? What did that look like? What were the thought processes that happened that were a catalyst for you changing where you're at? Because that's the first phase. Those are some of the things that your ideal client is going to be struggling with right now. Okay. Who here just like doesn't love talking about themselves? Is that anybody? Yeah, right. You got to get used to that. You got to get used to it and you got to practice it. And so something you guys can also do is just write down like 7 to 10 things that make you who you are. It doesn't even have to be like, I put here for your personal brand, but like what makes you who you are? Like if you guys follow me, you guys know I have 2 Persian cats. If you know, you know. I put them on my stories all the time. Like it's a very on brand thing. I know Caroline is the same. Like I love Megan for looking at all her beauty stuff and her makeup stuff, right? She's associated with Alpha Elite. Like what are the things that make you who you are? And what are the things that are just make you different? Just make you different. Because you're not just coaches, you guys are humans. I think sometimes we forget that, especially when you start to scale. It's so easy to be like, I need to educate today. It's like, no, your audience actually cares about you as an individual. And that's why they follow you. Right? So write down 7 to 10 things that explain your personal brand or just explain who you are. Because that's an easy way to tie these into the pillars that you guys have. Because it doesn't have to be like metabolic priming and it doesn't have to be the fat loss. You can think of different words that just vibe with who you are as an individual and you can make that, right? You can make that yours. And then the big thing here is, guys, if you have a unique mechanism, this is the biggest thing. You don't got to go build a course on it. You don't got to go build this, that, and the third and make all these beautiful, wonderful things. Okay? All you guys got to do is start talking about it. Like you guys, okay, here's the thing. You guys probably already have one. Like you already have a cadence that you take your clients through. Like they come in, what's the first step, right? You usually take them to this certain point, you stabilize them, then what do you do next? Right? So you guys probably already have one. But now it's just a matter of starting to talk about it. Right? Talk about it, be about it, tell people about it. Because they might have no idea that's the action item that they really need to take. Okay, so when you have this, oh guys, let me tell you, especially this year when we nailed it down, this has changed the entire, just like my thought process about what we do. Creating client ascension journeys, understanding business at a deeper level, which has been really cool, but also understanding the mind of my clients and where they're at. Content creation is so much easier when you have phases and pillars. Because if you look at the journey you take your clients through, I can ask myself, okay, someone who's in phase 1, what are her pain points? What is she struggling with today? Okay, she has awful gut health because she's been under eating. Her stress is super high, right? Her sleep cycles are off because of that. Like what are the things that are pain points in each phase that you take people through? And so on days where I don't feel like showing up, because we have them, right? Or on days that I'm like, man, I didn't prep any content. Like we were so busy getting this launch planned or doing all the sales calls, right? Especially if you guys are stuck in that trap. Like if you guys are stuck in the trap of going back and forth in that solopreneurship and you don't have a team yet, is okay, you have 15 sales calls, you have even 5 sales calls and you're not used to that workload, you haven't acclimated to that workload yet. How do you get yourself to produce content? Especially if you get some no's on those sales calls. We all know it's really hard sometimes to just bounce back and get back up. Is have structure. When shit hits the fan, have structure because you can always go back and rely on the structure. And that brings you guys clarity, right? Come on. There we go. Okay. Your sales process, you can pull this in, whether it's pre-sales call or whether it's, on the sales call. I don't know how you guys necessarily like present with sales calls or how you guys do it, but I just know for myself it's easier to share a journey over time. Because on sales calls, the last thing you guys want to do is be like, we have trainer eyes and we do macros and we do this and this and this. And they're like, what is all of that? Right? It's like, hey, I get you from here to here by going through these phases, right? If they ask about features, some people do. Those are the people who lack trust in the program in the first place. We got to give it to them a little bit, right? But in your sales process, if you tie this in, it's going to be a lot easier for you guys to sell them, okay, toward the end. And then also just, again, creating the client journey. Like it gives hope and it gives certainty to the people that are coming into your program. Okay. And then also, of course, clients get better results. And when you give clients results, what happens? They refer people in. You have social proof, so now you have transformation photos, right? You guys have testimonials, so you guys can blast those on your stories, which is super cool. And then you also have better retention, so you're increasing your roster over time, which is awesome. Like I will tell you guys, like that's been the biggest pillar for us with growing. Like the reason we've been able to have a 250 client team is because we retain our clients, but we're also signing new clients. And if you want to retain over time, or if you want to grow over time and get more people on the roster, you have to have people stay while you're simultaneously bringing new people in. Okay. So just to kind of wrap it up for you guys here, I'll also open up for any questions y'all might have. But systems and processes, they're my favorite thing in the world. I love them. I truly believe like this is an element that you guys can use to break out of getting stuck in that trap, because I've been there and it sucks, especially when you know that you're 110% kind of person. Like if one of your principles is to be committed and make promises and stick to your promises, and then you have client check-ins backed up till 6 p.m. when you usually promise before a certain time, you can't do them because you had sales calls. Like that's you being out of integrity. That sucks. Like that sucks. That's the worst feeling, right? Especially because we're all really high achievers here. Like we all want to get shit done. And when we can't, it's the most frustrating thing. And so when you have structure, you can come back and you can use that structure to create more of that flow, okay? And I think the biggest thing for me personally was I knew my vision was bigger than me. It was bigger than me. Like there's no way I was gonna scale to the vision I had with myself. There's no way, right? And having now a team of over 20 people between the two different businesses, I'm like, I could not serve at the level I do. I could not show up. I could not produce content. I just couldn't do anything that I'm doing or run both businesses. I definitely could not run both businesses if I did not have my team. Like that would not be a thing for me. And so this is what helps you guys be able to eventually outsource. And I want you guys to future think, like be present in your business now. Like that's one thing is like enjoy it, relish in it. It is great when you get to take home the whole paycheck to yourself, but it's also even cooler when you provide livelihood to other people. That is the best feeling in the world. It's the best feeling in the world, right? And this is the biggest one for me is like I was simply just misaligned, had a lot of self-doubt, and that's why I dropped everything. Like that's why I brought my client roster down to 20 people. I think Caroline was like assistant coaching for me at the time and I let her go. Like I legit let her go. I was like, I'm gonna try to do this whole outsourcing thing and I just didn't believe in myself. Right? I didn't have any systems though. I was like, I think this is, you can do check-ins this way. It's like, it's pretty good. Like you can try, right? But it wasn't a whole process where it was like, hey, this is how we take the client from here to here, okay? Cool, that me. The wonderful Nick Jansen took this photo, camera. He's the best, send him extra love. If you guys wanna follow us, it's our business coaching page, and that's my Instagram handle. So you guys can follow me. They're cool. Thanks, guys. This is so fun. Okay. I don't know if you want. I can do questions if you want, Zach. It's up to you.
So, yeah, we have some time before Nick gets here, and so if you guys have any questions for Kendall, let's do some Q&A.
It doesn't have to be related to this either, by the way, guys. Like y'all can ask me anything. I'm an open book. So, what's your name?
I'm Khalil.
Khalil?
Yeah.
Cool. What's up?
I was hoping you could speak a little bit more on the client extension journey. That's something that, literally in the past week, I've been trying to build out for myself. But I noticed, I have different clients with different, although it's, generally the same goal,
Right.
build muscle, lose body fat overall.
Mm-hmm.
If I have clients with strictly fat loss goals or strictly, bulking or muscle gain goals, do you build out those different journeys for each specific,
It's a great question.
long-term goal? Or?
It's a great question. This is such a good question. So here's the thing is that, and this is, if any of y'all are recovering people pleasers, this was my issue. Multiples of my mentors have told me this. You cannot keep catering each journey. It's not scalable. If you're gonna be a super high ticket one-to-one program, our mastermind program, I'm catering. I'm catering, right? And it's that's a little different if you're doing high ticket. But if you're creating a ascension journey, what's gonna happen is over time, you'll kind of almost mold the ideal client a little bit. And to be honest, they're pretty much rinse and repeat steps. What might happen is people start at a different part of the ascension journey. So for example, sometimes we have girls who are coaches come in and they came from another coach who just went through an incredible reverse diet and they're peachy keen for a cut. And I'm like, hell yeah, cool. We're just gonna take you through the steps a little bit further above, but guess what? You still need to do all the mindset work in phase one because that's still a thing. And that's the thing too that I learned is that most people still need to go through that first phase or at least parts of it. So with the ascension journey, I think the biggest thing is hold true to what you do. Because what you do, you're really good at it. And hold true to that. Don't mold it based off of the client. Because what ends up happening then is you start changing their protocols when they ask you. You stop doing the thing that you know that you're good at, and then the imposter syndrome kind of comes in. Just speaking from experience, that was one of my biggest issues last year into this year. So stick with it. Create something, structure it, and then speak about it, because then you'll get people in who actually are congruent with that too. So, yeah, good question though. It was awesome.
finding a hard, like, I'm having a hard time trying to, like, get the words across, but I feel like, so when you're explaining, like, the unique mechanism, I feel like I'm in a place right now where it's like, yeah, I am doing everything on my own, and
Mm-hmm.
I always want to, like, create this mindset guide, or, like, create this, and it's like, I just don't, it's
Yeah.
like, how do you convert everything in your head to, like, actually making it a system? It's like that transition period, and like you have that like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
did you just sit down and just like write that, or like what was the process in like going from like just winging it kind of to like actually having the system?
This is a really good question. Okay, so for me, no, I didn't just write it down. Like it did not just come to me. Again, like I said, it's kind of fluid. So like this was years of working with clients. I actually scaled, like I worked by myself, right? The first like 2-3 years or so. We've been in business for about 6 years, so you guys have context. But the first 2-3 years, I didn't even think of this kind of stuff. But like I'm facilitating this so you guys do if you're in your first 1 to 3 years, because like it's way more competitive nowadays. Like you gotta collapse time, right? I think the biggest thing is like something I facilitate often to like the girls in our programs. I'm like, hey, take a half day, work without Wi-Fi, go to the spa, like do something for yourself where you can actually just think of your vision. Sit in your vision at least once a week. Like just think about it. And another thing too is like if you don't know what your vision looks like in 5 years, just think like a year ahead. Like how big is my team? Do I have coaches on my team? Those kind of things. Something that happens, and I'm sure Zach talks about this often, is the whole shiny object syndrome of wanting to implement everything all at once. Because we're such big visionaries. It's like, especially for those of you who are the visionary aspect of the business, which is like pure CEO. This is me. Caroline tells me no all the fucking time. Like she's literally like, we're not doing that. No. So I think the thing is if you're a visionary, what you can do is just work on asking yourself these questions. Like, what is my vision? How do I get my client from A to B? And start producing resources over time for those kind of things. Yeah.
That's the phase I'm in right now, is like I'm just trying to slowly like gather resources.
Yeah, market research. Ask your clients, you know, like ask them what their struggles are when they first come in. Put it in your questionnaire. Easy way to do it, right? Ask your audience, polls on Instagram or whatever platform you're using. Easy way. Market research. I think sometimes we forget about market research. I personally do it myself. Sometimes I forget. Just ask your audience. Really easy way to get these down.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So question, one of the things that really resonated with me in my personal journey right now is the fulfillment piece and ultimately client compliance.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a better way to ask this, but I'm having trouble finding the specific angle. So ultimately what I'm gearing towards is like, what sort of advice would you offer a coach who's struggling with that piece? Because of my 10 clients, I've had 2 fall off, so there's a retention piece also that I'm not capitalizing on.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing that because I've more or less not really targeted my ideal client entirely, there is a compliance piece, and I'm sitting here like, what am I doing wrong in not getting across to them to make them show up? Because like you said, you can lead the horse to water, but if they're not going to drink, you can't force them to drink.
Right. Also, a great question, and that was a great angle as well coming from. There's a lot of reasons why a client might fall off. Like there are a lot of reasons why they might. Like you'll have like the actual legitimate thing that happens every once in a while too, so you have to consider that. I think sometimes like in the space we see a lot of coaches be like, no, but like sometimes legit it's a life thing that happens. Here's my biggest thing from this is a lot of it comes down to you as a person. Like as an individual, how are you facilitating when you onboard? So there's the whole journey, right? Like it could start in your content. Like, are you building enough personal connection with these people? Are you speaking to your ideal client? It sounds like that's been an issue for you. And I will say, if you weren't speaking to them, to your ideal client, and you bring in people who actually are non-ideal, because that can be the case, right? Like I don't love working with like moms over 40. Like it's just not ideal for us. If that's the case for you, you might have to like essentially let them go over time. Like if they're not going to be retained, it also won't really help grow the community or things like that either. I think this is the number one thing I do with a lot of the women who are in our program, and it just goes for humanity, period. Don't be afraid to lose your clients. Like the more scarcity you have around losing clients, like we don't need to be desperate about keeping a client on board. Like we are co-empowered. Like this is what I always talk about is co-empowerment, right? You are co-enabling a client to fall off every time that you desperately are like, what do we need to do? Hey, didn't get your check-in. Like you're chasing after them, right? And so what we want to do instead is more so like dig into that. Like, hey, we didn't get your check-in this week. What's going on? right? Let them kind of tell you, because I think oftentimes we give them the nudge or the bump and we're not posturing ourselves as an authority when we do that. So co-empowerment, like it's a huge word. We started working on it a bunch this last year. If you find clients falling off, don't chase them because it enables them. Just work to actually have them tell you what's going on and open up a safe space for them to do that too. It's huge. Yeah, what's up? What's your name?
Ryan,
Ryan? Cool. What's up?
if your ideal client is you, do you think it's like, there's two different ways I'm thinking about it, kind of like telling my story first, like to myself and seeing what kind of system I can build based off of that, or trying to build the system and then use my experience to do that?
Yeah, I think the one thing I'm always going to tell you guys, like keep it simple, like simplify it as much as you can. One question I always like to ask is, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to tell your story? Do you want to share your story? I think we should always be sharing our story. And something I've learned recently too is your story, parts of it will evolve as you evolve. So if you're doing the work, if you're learning, if you're growing, what's really cool about that is you'll tell your story, but then you'll start to tell it from almost like a different perspective or a different light. So you'll shed layers of it and you'll start understanding more of what your story really was. I think the big thing is like be personal with your socials, whether it's like Instagram, Facebook, whatever you guys are using. Share your story and you can tie it into this kind of stuff. I think the thing is when you share your story, you bring in ideal clients, and those ideal clients will have a similar journey to you, and then you can kind of pave the way over time. So think about it like what you did first maybe, and let that be like just a skeleton. And again, it's fluid, so just let it grow over time. Yeah, good question. What's your name, love? Jasmine, cool. What's up?
So for the mindset phase, like, do you create like worksheets and stuff for them to fill out as homework, or how does
That's a
that
great
work?
question. Are you interested in integrating mindset into your? Yeah, okay, cool. So I think the biggest thing is we all have our own unique way of teaching and educating. For us personally, like as a brand, in the business coaching side, like we have modules and we have worksheets and journal prompts and everything like that in our new course material. It's all self-mastery work. Versus in fitness coaching, we actually haven't even rebuilt the course for this unique mechanism, guys. So if that says anything, like we haven't even built a course that is in congruence with this. So a lot of what we do is we facilitate group calls on mindset. Our coaches are constantly asking questions and check-ins. Like our check-in document specifically has multiple mindset questions in it. And then also like when a client's non-compliant or a client is like, can I eat this rice cake? You're like, okay, we got to dig into that a little bit because like, yes, you can. And also like, let's think about this, right? And that's where the co-empowerment comes in is like, well, you tell me, can you eat that rice cake, right? That already alone is mindset work for them because they're starting to make their own decisions. And they're like, wait, yeah, I can. Like that can fit into my carbohydrate intake for the day for sure. And then they start to become more confident, right? So there's just these small activation points that you can integrate to create that over time. Also, what I will say is, and those of you in here who are just like super into the woo-woo shit, y'all know, like when you do your own mindset work, you can easily translate that over into what you do with your clients. So, yeah. Cool. Anything else, guys?
I have a question.
What's your name?
When it comes to Wanda,
Wanda, cool.
when it comes to like the starting point, you said like when you're coming with your marketing messaging, like where you started. I feel like my journey was very like non-linear,
Cool.
right? Where like I was unhappy with my body, lifted, didn't look like I lifted, but I was strong. Then fell into like bad mental health, and then needed a reverse diet and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So I feel like when I talk about my journey, it's like I was good, I was not good, I was good, I was not good, and then that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So finding that pain point, I feel like it's
Sure.
hard. And I feel like it's so disconnected from me now because I've been working with coaches for a long time that I feel
Oh,
like
yes.
it's hard to remember back like where
Yes.
was my starting point when I was like 16 and like trying to find that.
This is such a good point because I feel like that with my eating disorder sometimes.
Yeah.
So just to like resonate with that is like sometimes I'm like, damn, that was like 8 years ago. Like I don't even know that girl anymore.
Yeah.
Like who is that? I think this is a testament to who you speak to though, because it's probably like a yo-yo dieter or the girl who's tried it all, or she goes back and forth. It's a self-worth thing. Like
Right.
99% of the time we can look at that, and that has to be something as a coach you can identify. Is like, okay, like she does not value herself enough to give herself what's necessary to hit protocols, to be consistent, right? And so when you're building your pillars or phases, it might be something where you consider, okay, this woman is coming in and it's not that she's broken, right? No one's broken, we can't fix them, but it's like there's something going on with her self-worth where she doesn't value herself enough to make the progress. And if you're that kind of coach, like if you're not that kind of coach and you don't want to integrate self-worth work, etc., I just recommend, guys, like the coaching space is getting competitive. We can't just give protocols anymore. Like we have to go the extra mile for our clients. And that might be the first thing that you work with her on. And it doesn't mean you have to like plow her in the face, right? Because if you have girls coming in who are more in like that masculine mode of like, I just want to make progress, like I've never made progress. If you're like, we're going to do a self-love visualization today, she might be like, the fuck is that? Yeah. No. Because that was me. I did the same thing, right? So you might want to like ease her into those kind of things over time. Yeah. But that could be where you start with her is like, give her the protocols, but it's like, what do we need to do to hit these protocols? How can we get you to show up for yourself every day? Yeah. Yeah. Good question though. Cool. Oh, you guys are so fun. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.